So today we are going to discuss about the main external genitalia. But before that, we need to know about the embryology, some embryology component. All of us know that this is the neural tube, and then there is paraxial mesoderm by the side of it, paraxial mesoderm. Then there is intermediate mesoderm, and then there is lateral plate mesoderm. So this is neural tube, paraxial mesoderm, intermediate mesoderm, and lateral plate mesoderm, which is further divided into cranioplate and somatoplate. Now what happens is this intermediate mesoderm is the one which contributes majorly to the formation of the urogenital system. Now what happens is at a later stage, at a later stage when this intermediate mesoderm thickens. So suppose this is the gut and here is intermediate mesoderm. This intermediate mesoderm thickens to form a structure which is called as nephrogenic cord. Nephrogenic cord. This nephrogenic cord is lined by coelomic epithelium. So what did we say in the first line? The intermediate mesoderm enlarges to form nephrogenic cord. Now, so this intermediate mesoderm has thickened to form nephrogenic cord, and now after some time we see four structures in the nephrogenic cord. The coelomic epithelium thickens to form a ridge which is called as genital ridge. This is genital ridge. It is there on both the sides. The coelomic epithelium thickens to form genital ridge. It is the largest structure amongst all of these four structures. So four structures develop in the nephrogenic cord. The first structure is genital ridge. The first structure is genital ridge. Then there are mesonephric tubules. No, rather I would not say mesonephric. There are tubules, nephric tubules. Nephric tubules. These nephric tubules in cervical region are called as pronephros. In lumbar region they are called as mesonephros. And in sacral region they are called metanephros. Kidney develops from these nephric tubules in sacral regions which is called as metanephric blastema. It's a structure which contains metanephric tubules. Metanephros. So what happens to mesonephros? These mesonephros, some of them form vasa efferentia. Okay, so right now, because we are not dealing with kidney and we are in the thoracolumbar area, so I will call it as mesonephric tubules. In cervical region they are pronephric tubules. In sacral region they are metanephric tubules from which kidney develops. So today we are not discussing the development of the kidney, but we are discussing the development of testes, where we find superior aberrant ductules, inferior aberrant ductules. Anatomy of testes is already taught to you. I am going to revise it again. Paraepididymis, these all structures are the remnants of mesonephric tubules. Okay? Then there is a duct called as mesonephric duct. Mesonephric duct. And there is another, the lateralmost duct called as para, because it is around the mesonephric duct. Paramesonephric duct. Paramesonephric duct. So nephrogenic cord has 4 structures: genital ridge, mesonephric tubules, mesonephric duct, paramesonephric. This mesonephric duct will form ureters in both the sexes, even collecting tubules of the kidney in both the sexes. Okay? But this contributes more in male because it is the one which forms the ductus deferens, the duct of epididymis, the duct of epididymis, ductus deferens, ejaculatory duct, seminal vesicles, all are derived from mesonephric. While paramesonephric duct forms more structures in female. It forms more structures in females, and that is the uterus. The paramesonephric ducts will form uterus. But this paramesonephric duct in males will form prostatic ureter, okay, and a small appendix above the testis, which is called as appendix of testis. So you must have heard of appendix of testis. So this appendix of testis is a remnant of paramesonephric duct, and mesonephric duct, it also has some remnants in what we are going to see today, and that is appendix of epididymis. On the epididymis also we see a small appendix. Appendix is a small structure, worm-like structure. Here is vermiform appendix, appendage. So worm-like structures is therefore called vermiform appendix, and this is appendix of epididymis, appendix of testis. So appendix of testis is from which duct? Paramesonephric duct. Appendix of epididymis is from mesonephric duct. And the 3 structures, superior aberrant ductules, inferior aberrant ductules, and paradidymis. These 3 vestigial structures are from mesonephric ducts. Mesonephric ducts will give rise to vasa efferentia, male. So that's a structure which is useful. Vasa efferentia runs from rete testis to the duct of to the epididymis. Vasa. That is only constructive structure the mesonephric tubules form. Otherwise, they will form the cranial ones will form superior aberrant ductules, intermediate ones will form inferior aberrant ductules and caudal mesonephric tubules will form paradidymis. So mesonephric tubules will form four structures. What are the four structures? Vasa, then superior aberrant ductules, then inferior aberrant ductules and paradidymis. This all you will be studying today, and these words will be there, and that is the reason I am teaching you this. Okay. The embryology of the urogenital system again will be taught to you in detail, but you should have some idea. Now what happens is, here in the genital ridge, the cells form what is called as sex cords. What does it form? Sex cords. And the cells from the yolk sac, they come here and they get inserted in the sex cords. And they are the ones which form the sex cells. Sperms in case of males and ovum in case of females. So they come from the yolk sac, but the supporting cells like Sertoli cells, follicular cells in females, they are from the sex cord cells. So in the sex cords, the sex cells get inserted. From where do they come? And how they come from yolk sac? Actually, now understand this. We say they come from yolk sac. Actually, when the two-layer embryo is becoming three-layered, the third germinal layer is developing. What do we call that process as? Yeah? Gastrulation. So now, before these cells now differentiate into the ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm, some cells before gastrulation go and hide in the yolk sac. So because they go and hide in the yolk sac, they maintain their totipotency. In the embryonic disc, initially it's not differentiated into epiblast, ectoderm and endoderm and mesoderm. So any cell can become ectoderm, any can become, so that cell is potent. But once it becomes ectoderm, then it gives rise to derivatives from ectoderm only. So before the cells get differentiated into ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm, some cells, these cells are like the cells of the blastocyst also. The blastocyst cell, you cannot say it is the ectoderm, endoderm or mesoderm. It can become anything. But once, after gastrulation, the cells are now earmarked. This is ectoderm, gives rise to structures of ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So some cells before gastrulation go here in the yolk sac. Once the genital ridge is formed, these cells go and get themselves inserted. They get themselves inserted in the sex cords. Okay. So now in the sex cord we have sex cells and the other cells. This depends upon whether it is XX or XY. Till that point, this remains like this. If it is XY, the sex cords gets canalized to form seminiferous tubules. The sex cord gets canalized to form seminiferous tubules. If it is, this is a very important line, and if it is XY, the sex cords break in such a way that there is a sex cell surrounded by follicular cells to form primordial follicles. So sex cords will be formed in both the sexes. If it is XX, what happens to the sex cords? They get canalized. Sorry, if it is XY, it gets canalized. If it is XX, the sex cords break. Okay? Now this whole thing is happening in the lumbar area, from where the testes reach the inguinal, the iliac fossa in the third month. Third month it reaches the iliac fossa. It reaches the deep ring in 4 to 6 months. 7th month it's in the inguinal canal. 4th month iliac fossa. 4 to 6 months deep inguinal ring. 7th month inguinal canal. 8th month superficial inguinal ring, and 9th month it reaches the scrotum. So what happens in premature babies? You may be there at Virar. आपको इसको भी पता है मैंने? नहीं बताया कि नहीं बताया? So previously when females used to be pregnant, they used to go to their mother's house. Mother used to be so happy. Oh, बेटी आ गई, बेटी आ गई. And then तू कुछ मत काम कर. They are supposed to take rest. Basically, pregnancy is a precious thing. But nowadays, females with term 7 months, they are getting into Virar fast local. And you have started your clinic in Virar. Nobody is coming. And suppose somebody during Virar hospital hits that female, and then she loses the fluid, and then she reaches Virar and she calls her mother, and baby is born. Where are the testes? Testes are not going to, because she has delivered 2 months early, testes are not going to jump into the scrotum. They are going to come into the scrotum after 2 months. So now the baby is born. Now some old female in the house, she checks the baby and she realizes scrotum is empty. Hey, कैसा बच्चा पैदा किया है? तो बहू भाई क्या करो? अब बोलते काम भी करो, पैसा भी लाओ. Then you are sitting in your clinic, nobody is coming, killing the flies. So then this बच्चू देखे, डोरे सर देखो कैसा बच्चा. remember मैंने क्या बताया? Palpate the inguinal region, तो वहाँ पे आपको you can feel the testes. Now it is anyway going to come into the scrotum in 2 months. So you tell them every week you come and you do something. Depends, you want to become a good doctor, you can become a good doctor, you can put some oral put your dog distilled water. If you want to become Sai Baba, take some talcum powder, put it on the 2 months, the testes will reach the scrotum and your glory will spread in Virar. Scrotum empty था, testes नहीं था, क्या powder डाला. And now the scrotum has testes. The mother-in-law will come, she will give you 1,000 rupees, and everybody will keep on talking. बच्चा हो गया तो पहले दिखाने को जाओ. इनके पास कोई भी problem. Okay. What I am telling you is one should not be scared. In the preterm labor, the testes may not reach the scrotum, but they will eventually reach. But if it doesn't reach, because there is this gubernaculum. We talked about gubernaculum from base of scrotum to testis. So this gubernaculum has for what is called as tails of Lockwood. Tails of Lockwood. One goes to pubic symphysis, one goes to perineum, one goes to the thigh. So it actually supposed to go like this, but then sometimes we are driving, then we some other road. So testis. Okay. So this leads to ectopic testis. If they don't follow the main gubernaculum and follow the other tails of Lockwood, it can be the perineum, it can be the pubic. Then there is something called as undescended testis. Okay, so then they also testes are not descending, so there are operations. They put kind of a sling from here to the scrotum and slowly pulls the testes down. Sometimes they implant the testes on the thigh because testes cannot, if they remain in the abdomen, they produce testosterone. The person is potent to have a sexual intercourse but remains sterile because the sperms die. Potent but sterile. It is not impotent. It's not that he doesn't get any erection of the genital. Okay. But he remains sterile. But then such a testis can become cancerous, so better to remove it. Okay. Better to remove it. In case of if one testis is like this. Both the testes, if you are removing, then you have to be very careful because the person will not get testosterone. No. So testosterone has to be given. Okay. So that's about the embryology of the testes. Okay.